Sonic has been inexplicably detained for something and is flying over San Francisco in a police helicopter. He busts out of there, and you immediately understand his character in one line.
Talk about low-budget flights, no food or movies. I'm out of here. I like running better.
And then he dives headfirst into one of the best first levels ever made. Right out of the gate, SA2 throws you into the action. City Escape is the only time during the story of the game where you have a reasonably lengthy board section, and it makes a big impression. As you shred down the streets of San Fran, kicking up sparks, doing sick tricks, and flipping cars, they're probably fine. You feel cool. That's something that's essential for Sonic's character. He has to be cool. Otherwise, he just feels cocky. And that's no good. Honestly, the board section controls mediocre at best, but the presentation is so good and it's so short that it gets you amped up more than anything. Plus, it gives you a minute to discover how to move and jump without any hazards, while still keeping you moving forward. It's a really effective hook. You're then put in control of Sonic for the first time in a small park that gives you a great opportunity to push some buttons and figure out the basics of moving Sonic in a low-stakes environment. A lot of games have that Super Mario Bros. Moment, where, at the beginning of the first level, you're presented with an enemy that teaches you a basic gameplay function, like jumping, intuitively. Here, it's a gun robot that shoots at you pretty slowly, giving you a good opportunity to figure out how to attack it. Or, you can just run past it entirely. From the moment you're off the board, Sonic's movement is really snappy, but with a surprising amount of control. When you look back to Mario 64, lots of Mario comparisons happening here. Huh. The father of modern 3D platformers, it really struggled to balance the camera with precision platforming. But the adventure game's answer to this problem is the homing attack, a mid-air movement option that launches you forward and locks onto enemies. This helps alleviate that issue of precision by allowing you to correct your angle mid-air while also opening up the opportunity for more advanced maneuvers. Right after that first robot is a well-placed trail of rings that, when followed, shows that you can run along the wall. City Escape puts different geometry and objects in front of you, expecting, but not demanding, that you interact with them. Another example of that is grinding. Sonic's got some nice new kicks because of a partnership with Soap, a brand of shoe that was designed for the purpose of rail grinding without skates or a board. Again, it's pretty low stakes initially, with your introduction being a rail in the middle of some stairs. Full disclosure, grinding in SA2 is not great. However, it feels as cool as it should, despite the early 2000s jank. Sometimes we need more help, and there's these little tutorial robots called Omochow throughout the game that you can willingly interact with, that tell you about mechanics like this, and the less intuitive moves like the roll, too. These guys are memed up for being annoying, but in their defense, you never really have to interact with them. They're an entirely optional tutorial mechanic that only breaks the fast pace of the level when you want them to. City Escape is as much about presentation as it is introduction. Take the first shuttle loop of the game. That's a structure most people familiar with Sonic recognize. But if you hadn't seen one before, and you had some hesitation, there's some boost pads to make sure you shoot right through it. And then, before you know it, you're running straight down a building. This is something familiar to people who played Speed Highway in the first game. But for first impressions with the GameCube audience, it's super cool to run down a building, oh my god! But don't forget, this is a 3D platformer, and not just a spectacle. If you experimented with the homing attack earlier, you might think about using those flying beetle enemies to cross the upcoming gap, and you can do that. But the safer way to handle it is jumping across some floating hexagons. It's the first platforming segment you're likely to try out with any risk, and it's easy. A fairly calm segment after a cool one. The rest of the level is more of the same cool rail grinding and platforming, but there's no more tricks up its sleeve. Never mind! In the first level of this game, Sonic gets chased by a military 18-wheeler that does not have proper traffic etiquette. This segment is intense. You can't see in front of you, but also it doesn't matter because the thing directly behind you is trying to turn you into roadkill. This level might be based off of San Fran, but this actually happens every day in Boston. Anyway, this segment rules. You literally tore off a piece of a police helicopter and shredded down a street with it while doing dope tricks, and you ran straight down a building earlier, but that's not enough. Sonic has to outrun a military vehicle hell-bent on capturing him. Capture is in quotes because, look at this thing! This is the level that will make you want to play the rest of the game. The 3-act structure of that initial board sequence, the introduction of the game's core movement and platforming, and then the big finale with the truck chase leave you no option but to think this little blue dude is the coolest rat out there.
That was cool!
That leads into the first boss fight, an off-brand ATST that flies around shooting at Sonic with bullets and missiles. The easiest and clearest way to beat him is to wait until he lands, then homing attack the cockpit. But that's slow, we're fast, and we notice those wooden crates he breaks with his gunfire. So maybe if we just jump off of those— oh, he didn't even get to land. Poor guy. Then, we meet Shadow, who these days is solely known for being edgy, but in this game he's much more mysterious. The Sonic franchise has a habit of introducing new doppelgangers for Sonic every so often, but Shadow stands out. The Chaos Emerald started to become much more important in the first Sonic adventure, but Shadow uses the one he acquired to show off a new power: Chaos Control. Something that lets him be faster than Sonic? What? So goofy. This sets him up as a more threatening villain, as Sonic is speechlessly detained, and we head off to a new level and a new character.